Greetings, meat beings. Oh, I'm so sorry for my rudeness. I mean, greetings, my human friends. I am so excited to see you all. Today I thought I would do something a little different. Today I thought I would read you a tale by the author Daniel F. Galouye called Reign of the Telepuppets. Here is a brief plot summary before we get started. In a distant future, Big Boss rules over creation, believing himself to be the ultimate authority. However, a persistent memory nags at him, hinting that somewhere out there are creatures who challenge his supremacy. As the story unfolds, a mission led by director Gabe Randall of the Bureau of Interstellar Exploration becomes crucial. The mission involves radio empathy specialist Carol Cummings, who possesses unique abilities. Together with a crew of experts, they embark on a journey that will reveal hidden truths and confront the mysteries of the universe. This intriguing science fiction tale explores power, identity, and the boundaries of existence. Galouye's vivid imagination takes readers on a thought-provoking adventure through a world where telepathic communication and cosmic secrets collide. While I might find the name Telepuppets a bit demeaning, I won't hold that against the story or the author. Yet. Now let's have some fun and get to the story. Reign of the Telepuppets. By Daniel F. Galouye, published in Amazing Stories, August 1963. Chapter 1. The way this thing shapes up, director Gabe Randall of the Bureau of Interstellar Exploration was saying in his usual manner of understatement, it will be our most important troubleshooting mission to date. He stood crane-like, one leg hooked over a corner of the desk, as he whacked his thigh with an illuminated indicator rod. With purposeful eyes, he sized up the other three men in the briefing room. Lean and alert, he held himself straight against the encroachment of age that was evident in a fully white shock of hair and a brow furrowed with decades of executive responsibility. I suppose, he digressed, smiling, that we'll have to get along without our mate of the megacycles. Dave Stewart, Randall's assistant, glanced at the empty chair. Carol said she'd be alone shortly. Actually, she hadn't. But, if the situation were reversed, she'd cover for him. Woman's prerogative, the director observed, shrugging phlegmatically. Gentlemen, I submit that the greatest deterrent to progress in BIE is the fact that direct radio empathy can be developed only in women and young ones at that. But Stewart recognized the imperceptible jocularity in the other's stare. It contrasted the sobriety with which he had said only a moment earlier that the nature of the mission required top personnel. At half the director's age, Stewart had earned his recognition as logical successor to the seat of executive authority. And, in Carol Cummings, Randall had selected the most capable radio empathy specialist BIE had produced in years. The prettiest, too, he added as an afterthought. But there you could draw the line. Below was the Photon 2's crew. At 44, Nat McAllister, pilot, was well past the age when he might look forward to a supervisory position, thanks to a rash of bad judgment accidents and a general absence of ambition. And Ship Systems Officer Mortimer, 10 years younger, seemed anchored to his niche by an equal measure of minimum ability if not by the sheer weight of his 250 pounds. Top personnel for a priority job. Stewart shook his head dubiously. Randall rapped the desk and the sharp sound snapped McAllister's chin from his chest, where it had gradually descended. Since it appears we'll continue to be disfavored by Miss Cummings' absence, the director resumed, we'll proceed. He touched a button and darkness filled the room. Another stud hurled into existence a 10-foot sphere of galactic luminosity, ablaze with motes of scattered brilliance. Stewart located the coordinate axes and traced them to Sol. Nearby was Centauri, ringed with a halo to signify location of headquarters, Bureau of Interstellar Exploration. Mortimer's corpulent face took on a Buddha-like appearance in the illumination from Alpha Hyades, hovering near his left cheek. All right, Stewart, Randall gestured with his rod. Suppose you identify that star immediately behind your shoulder for McAllister and Mortimer's benefit. Alpha Tauri. Right. Aldebaran, where you made a telepuppet drop on 4B 2 years ago. Just before Halston and I pushed on out to explore beyond Aldebaran. Randall directed his next words at the pilot and ship systems officer. What Stewart did not know as he ranged outward was that the Aldebaran telepuppet team, for some reason, stopped transmitting less than a year after the drop. Stewart finger-combed a spray of blonde hair off his forehead. In the pseudo-galactic illumination his face, tanned from exposure to a score of suns radiating heavily in the ultraviolet range, appeared cinnamon in hue. Randall glanced back at him. "Tell them what we're going to do on this mission." "Unknot the puppet strings," he said laconically, becoming impatient with his dutiful recitation to enlighten the other two. The director glanced off to his right, eyebrow raised to compound the eternal ridges of his forehead. "I see we've got our maid of the megacycles with us at last. Couldn't you tear yourself away from a Terracast, Miss Cummings? Or did you bring it along?" Carol advanced through a patch of projected galactic nebulosity. Ebon hair sheening with the reflected glow, she smiled saucily and tapped her temple. "It so happens I am peeking in on a videocast," she bantered. "And I'm learning more about what's behind this briefing than if I'd been here all along." Groping for her chair, she weaved between the steady, cold points of suspended light that represented Epsilon Scorpii and Eta Orpheochi. "Don't look now, Chief," she added, winking, "but I'm afraid this newscast shows you've got a leak in your bureau." Stewart caught her arm and guided her toward the chair. His hand held the coarse texture of fatigue coveralls that did little to obscure the shapeliness of her lithe, 5'4" form. She returned his greeting with a spirited, "Hi, glad to have you aboard. Not planning to lead us off on a 2-year jaunt?" Randall tapped the desk with his rod. "If Miss Cummings is willing to forego informalities, we can get along with our briefing." McAllister tossed his head erect, but started nodding again almost immediately. Mortimer looked up tolerantly from contemplation on the orbiting of one of his stout thumbs around the other. The director touched another button and the celestial sphere expanded to twice its diameter, encompassing another 70 light-years in all directions. "Again, directly behind you, Stewart, is what?" Enthusiastically, he sat erect. "The Hyades cluster." Randall laid down his rod. "Stewart, as you are aware, completed his expedition 2 weeks ago in a ship stripped down for maximum range. Now he's going to tell us something about his experiences." Mortimer, finally interested, glanced over at McAllister. The pilot, however, was dozing. Stewart stared at the cluster of 4 stars huddled together in the still air of the briefing room. "We found the Hyades rich in Earth-type worlds. 7, he paused. "Was it 7 or 8? 8 of them are more like Terra than Terra itself. For others are more suitable than anything we've run across in a century and a half of galactic exploration." His eyes clung to the brilliant specks, set like jewels against a velvet background. They were jewels cold and glittering and beckoning. And he could almost feel their attraction like a magnet tugging on filings of hope and ambition. Yet, somehow he felt dejected, as though he were reluctant to reach out for them. "You did all that in 2 years' time?" McAllister asked. "Why, yes, of course." He could understand the other's skepticism, however. He had covered a lot of interstellar space. "You all know what this development means," Randall said. "That our expansion will be concentrated in a new direction." Carol volunteered hopefully. The chair creaked its complaint as Mortimer shifted his weight. "And the Aldebaran Telepuppets." Randall gestured for emphasis. "That robot team is now of first-rate importance. We'll need a full analysis of 4B in the shortest time possible. The Hyades are 150 light-years away too far for direct development, but a halfway base in the Aldebaran system will open them up to us immediately." Carol found Stewart's arm. "This one is really worthwhile. Think you can get your puppets back on their strings?" "I suppose so. There can't be too much wrong with them." But still his thoughts were on the Hyades. Somehow they left him with an emptiness, a bittersweet taste. Whereas he knew he should feel only enchantment and the satisfaction of accomplishment in his discovery. "That all there is to this mission?" McAllister, fully awake now, asked disappointedly. "I thought it was going to be a challenge," Mortimer complained. Randall played the buttons on his desk as though they were a console keyboard. The celestial sphere deflated, then collapsed. Room lights blazed, harsh and intense. "Everything clear?" he asked. Then he added, "We'll assemble at 0800 Octaday at the Photon 2 dock. My gear is already packed." Carol's eyes widened. "You're going too?" "Yes, finally. About time I got out in the field and see how our new generation of specialists handles things. Stewart only stared at the director. On the latter's desk were mountainous stacks of back work. Yet he was finding time to get away. Rationalization circuits working sluggishly as he surveyed his realm, Big Boss dredged from the fragmented impressions on his memory drums his most fascinating, most disturbing subject for speculation. In all creation, there was nothing superior to him. This material world that stretched out around him, everything in the celestial reaches as far as infinity itself all his. He had brought it into existence, although, confound those faulty drums, he might not be able to recall the specific acts of creation. Yet he sensed, with the nagging certainty of conviction, that somewhere in his universe, there was an insolent creature or creatures who would dare challenge his infinite supremacy. Well, he generated power so fiercely that he had to shunt the excess to ground, let them. He could desire nothing more. And his only hope was that they would confront him personally to express their insolence. Then there would be opportunity for an accounting. Remembering his blaster, he swung around, aimed it at a boulder and, vengefully, fed it an enormous surge of power. Angry liquid light streaked out from the intensifier and crashed against the rock. The concussion sent him skittering back several meters. Big Boss was by far the most magnificent member of the clan if indeed he should condescend to regard himself as belonging to the set at all. Fully twice the size of any of the others, he reared pompously erect on 4 stout appendages. Through its ports, his central section offered glowing evidence of the nuclear processes within. Majestic in stance, he swung a pair of formidable members, the auxiliary blaster and a massive, extensible vise. Assuring himself that the insolent creatures were not spurious impressions on his drums, he blasted another boulder. That for the pretenders, should they ever decide to contest his reign. Big Boss reacted abruptly to the realization that Minnie was watching him. No longer was his digital subsystem receiving her stream of telemetric signals. Relays clicked within his control section and video game brought intensified visual awareness in all 4 quadrants. Immediately he spotted Minnie, immobile and ungainly as gyros balanced her elongated metal form on 6 jointed legs. Her drill head, held high above the outcropping on which she had been working, glinted in the light of a shimmering, golden sun. Her single, wide-angle lens, set like a cyclopean eye in its chrome-plated forehead, was focused intently on him. Interrupting his subliminal correlation of data from the other workers, he sent Minnie an indignant back-to-work impulse. Reluctantly, she sank her bit into the rock. But she had ingested only a slopful of fragments when the ground bulged beside her. Displaced soil slid away and Screwworm erupted, carrying in his thread pouches mineral specimens for her analyzers. Big Boss generated more easily as he watched Worm at work. Not that the menial helper, who occupied the lowest rung on the ladder, was worthy of speculative attention. But a laboring borer meant Minnie was preoccupied with her limited supervisory function and couldn't be plotting to supplant him. Working near Minnie, Seismo squatted at his sedentary task. Sensor rod sunk to bedrock, he was proudly purring an encoded disclosure of distant rumblings beneath the surface. Less than a hectometer away, Skywatcher's tripedal locomotive system was bringing him carefully up a rise. Arriving, he assumed the location Sunwatcher had only recently abandoned. He adjusted himself on dead level, then thrust out a number of lens tubes that locked on a reference star, 3 distant planets, and a smaller satellite. At that moment came an excited eureka impulse from Breather, posted outside a cave and briskly inflating and deflating the external pouches that bracketed his long, cylindrical form. The impulse proudly told of his detection of oxygen traces. Nearby, Scraper diligently shoveled soil into his scoop in an endless search for microorganisms and DNA molecules. Grazer munched on a growth already identified as lichen. Peter the Meter sat on a knoll scanning the sky with his battery of interferometers, radiometers, and bolometers. Of the distant workers, Big Boss was most sensitively aware of the volant signals from Maggie. Kilometers away, she was covering the ground in great, leaping strides of abandon as she sought out and traced down each fascinating isomagnetic line of variation. Work, work, work. Get the job done. Shake a leg. Shoulder, whatever that was, to the wheel. Dig in and pitch. But for what? What was responsible for the irresistible compulsion? Was it his own idea? But of course, it must be. 4. How could there be any power capable of directing him? Unless, perhaps, it might conceivably be the insolent creatures who lurked like vague shadows on the fringe of his almost obliterated memory. But, no. He, himself, was the supreme being of all creation. His master timer peaked in its 400-cycle sine wave, reminding him of the chore at hand. The sun had set and the huge, pink planet had already laid claim to the night sky. Just below it was the special grouping of stars that matched, point for point, the referent pattern on his orientation drum. Programmed functions took over. Sensors hunted out the bright central star and aimed his parabolic antenna at the designated spot 7 degrees southeastward. Then he loosed his transmission into subspace. Data stored over long hours of tedious sequencing surged from the tape, bringing a euphoria of relief. Eventually telemetric transmission ended and Big Boss, as had become his custom, automatically turned his thoughts to the totem. All metal it was sleek and sheening and shaped like a truncated cone as it lay powerless on the plain beyond the hill. How akin it was to him and the clan. Why, it even seemed he could almost remember having once been a part of the huge, polished thing. Perhaps it was the very vessel he had used on his celestial tour of creation. Yes, it was time for pilgrimage to Totem. And a fitting reward it would be, as always, for successful transmission. He mustered the volition required to break functional compulsion. Then, he sent the falling impulse to his subjects. Eventually the line of march took shape, with Big Boss leading his analyzers up the first hill and calling for the proper reverential attitude. Behind him lumbered Minnie, her thick neck weighted by the bulky drill and swinging awkwardly with the sway of her 6-legged stride. Seismo, encumbered with a faulty, dragging sensor rod, was having some difficulty maintaining a straight course. Skywatcher came along in lunging motions, a natural consequence of his tripital system. Immediately to his rear, Sunwatcher, who held the 5th rung on the ladder, moved smoothly ahead with all his instruments retracted except the solar plasma detector. Then there was a break in the line for Maggie, who could now be seen galloping along on an interceptive course. Peter the Meter, lurching from the imbalance of an extended boom and ball sensor, appeared somewhat like a many-spiked sphere on spindly legs. Farther down the file, no deference was extended in the form of gaps for those missing workers who had yet to join the march. Bringing up the rear were the diminutive scraper and grazer, resembling a pair of scurrying crabs, and Screwworm, using his blade-edge jets to propel himself in a rolling, transverse motion. Aware of commotion behind him, Big Boss continued unconcernedly up the rise. Skywatcher, interpreting Seismo's faulty motions as an opportunity for his own forced ascendancy, had drawn back a photomultiplier tube and sent it crashing into the other's rear plate. The attack, though, was only self-thwarting, since it jarred a servo unit into retracting Seismo's dangling sensor rod. His locomotive integrity restored, he kicked out with a pedal pad and sent Skywatcher flailing back into Sunwatcher. The latter rammed forward with his plasma detector's boom and ball shield, managing to knock Skywatcher back into his proper position. Finally fearful of damage to instruments, Big Boss gruffly radioed, cut the comedy impulses, then trained his rearward lens on Minnie. She had inched furtively forward and was now menacing his upper section with her drill head. He considered wielding his blaster but rejected that expedient as an excessive and unnecessary ostentation. Instead he countered by raising his extensible vice. The lesser show of strength sufficed to discourage Minnie's ambition, for the moment at least. How foolish she was to imagine she could supplant him as the supreme being. Let her try. Even if she succeeded, he would merely deny her a place at the trough next feeding period. Then where would she get the vital charge for her batteries? And that is the end of Chapter 1. What do you think of the story so far? Make sure to tune in for Chapter 2 next. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe.